Let's talk about Anime News Network a little bit more. If you needed any more proof that Anime News Network and the quote-unquote critics there are completely out of touch with their actual audience, the real anime fans, well, hopefully this will be the final nail in the coffin. This should be all the evidence you need. The Rising of the Shield Hero ranks on Anime News Network's worst anime of current year -1 list. Quote-unquote, actively politically awful. So that's what the critics are saying over at the world's most trusted name in fake anime news. That's what they're saying over there. So what about the fans? Oh, right. It was probably the biggest show of the season it launched, and it has already been renewed for 2 seasons. Not just 1 more, 2 more seasons. Right after the first one. So clearly it was the worst anime of current year -1, yeah. Yeah, it's either Shield Hero really sucks and the vast majority of anime fans have shit taste apparently, or maybe the problem is you, Anime News Network. I wonder which one it could possibly be. The Rising of the Shield Hero anime adaptation is ranked among the worst anime of last year, according to a recently released list compiled by Anime News Network staff, specifically due to the series' subject matter, rather than any inherent quality issues. Yeah, so it triggered them, so therefore it was the worst anime of the year. That's literally the logic they use. That's exactly what you want in your reviews, isn't it, guys? This is what you want. You just want them to get triggered and just dock shows points just on their subjective fifis. That's where we go to reviewers for. So on January 3rd, Anime News Network published their annual Worst of Anime list, which is determined by a selection of site staff members. Yeah, I believe each person has their best and their worst, yeah. The first review featured in their compilation was from Anime News Network writer Steve Jones, who ranked Rising of the Shield Hero as the worst anime of current year -1 and labeled it a rallying point for the worst impulses of some of the worst people. Now I didn't see that. I saw absolutely no woke shit in Shield Hero. I saw no social justice plot points in it. How the hell could that have been a rallying point for the worst impulses of some of the worst people? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what the hell this clown is going on about. And portrayed its premise as a glorification of misogyny and slavery. Yeah. What I say, man, these people are deranged lunatics. They spend their entire lives just looking for something to be triggered by. If I'm calling an anime the worst of the year, it's not sufficient that it merely be a bad show. It needs to be something actively politically awful. It needs to be a rallying point for the worst impulses of some of the worst people. Hey, Anime News Network! Admittedly, these are factors that are often outside of the control of creators, and there are countless examples of genuinely good and kind media being subsumed into a pile of internet swamp scum. Yeah, he's actually right there. On rare occasions, even the SJWs will like a show that's actually good. And oh man, they just, as soon as that fan base shows up, yeah, it's effectively ruined. Yeah. The Rising of the Shield Hero, however, is not one of those shows. With a premise predicated on the glorification of misogyny and slavery, it earns all the ire directed towards it. Only if you're a deranged lunatic. That it was animated by Kinema Citrus, who have made recent and wonderful standouts like Made in Abyss and Review Starlight, and produced by Crunchyroll, which is the premier anime streaming service in North American. Editors, people, just twists the knife. This is the worst kind of nerd power fantasy to put on any pedestal besides the specific one I'm featuring here. So I've mentioned before, and I will mention this again, but Anime News Network's reviews are completely worthless if you're specifically looking for, good shows, I guess. If you're looking for high-rated shows that you may like. But if you go to Anime News Network with the intention of just watching all the shows that trigger the fuck out of them, that is one way you can use them to filter out all the good shows. Because to this date, I have not seen a single show that triggered their staff that I didn't enjoy. Now, there were a bunch of shows that they rated poorly for other reasons that actually were pretty bad, but not a single show that got them reeing like the adult babies they are. Not a single one of them ended up being bad when I watched it. So if you want a list of anime to watch, just look at Anime News Network's preview guide. May or may not be with an ad blocker enabled. I'm not going to tell you what to do, though. So just look at their preview guide and see if any shows got them super freaking triggered. If so, you know you're onto a winner. That's going to be a good one. Because usually what they do is they intentionally try to sabotage any of these shows. Like Shield Hero was a good show. It did have plenty of flaws, but it was pretty good. And Goblin Slayer, same thing. And they tried so hard to sabotage them. And in the end, just ended up giving them free advertising. Yeah, it just shows you how effective these people are. You know, as I mentioned on the past stream, and actually as was mentioned by one of the commenters on one of Cecil's streams earlier, these people are such losers that if a Biggest Loser contest was held, they would get second place. And they just try their best to destroy everything that triggers them. Because they know the shit they actually like is never going to hit it big, although that's partially because they never actually financially support the things they claim to like, but what do I know? Back to the article, though. As is apparent from reading Jones's review, his consideration of the series as one of the worst of current year -1 is less based on criticisms of the show's production and more based on his personal fee-fees towards the appropriateness of the subject matter and humor as viewed through the lens of social justice theory. Same thing. I mean, it's derangement. Yeah, all this lens is, these people are pretty damn stupid, to be honest with you. They look at events that happened 300 years ago. That, we have to judge everything that happened in the past with a current year lens. Ooh, just wait until you guys are remembered as the clowns you are in the future. That's going to be glorious. Jones's review stands out even among his fellow ANN reporters, commentators, not reporters, whose criticisms were related to various issues ranging from art styles to poor writing. On the same list, fellow ANN writer Rebecca Silverman notes that Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka got worse when it began to use sexualized torture as titillation. I mean, I didn't get a boner when watching that. It wasn't titillation, but okay. But also recognizes that schlocky sexualized violence may have a place in the entertainment landscape, instead of docking the series for having sexual content in general. So this category came down to a tie between this show and Kemonomichi Rise Up for me, but what made Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka the winner or loser is how drastically it failed its characters and subject matter. Yes, Kemonomichi Rise Up has lots of cruel jokes of questionable taste. Yeah, these are the kinds of people see, look at this. Even when this article is trying to show that, but this reviewer wasn't as bad, it's still pretty bad. Even the best at Anime News Network is pretty damn bad. It was at least attempting to be a comedy, however misguided it was. That show was pretty damn funny. Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka, on the other hand, at first purported to be a dark, edgy magical girl show looking at what happens to the girls after the battles are over and how they might cope with having to go back into the fray, which it kinda did. The problems began when the show completely disregarded the mental health issues it set up for Asuka, and things only got worse when it began to use sexualized torture as titillation. It devolved into a fetish-filled mess that trampled all over its initial premise, failing to treat its subjects like child soldiers, combat veterans with PTSD, and the manipulation of vulnerable people's psyches with the gravity they both deserve and need. I watched the show, and basically what this complaint is, to summarize this complaint, it's that, it did cover all of these topics, just not as seriously as I would have wanted it. I mean, that's a fair assessment for why you personally didn't like the show, I guess, but it's a nice window into the mind of the writer, though. Schlocky sexualized violence may have a place in the entertainment landscape, but this most assuredly is not it. Seemed to have done fine. Despite Jones's declaration that the Rising of the Shield Hero earns all the ire directed towards it, there may be little to be found among general audiences. Yup, what I said at the beginning. As the series placed 11th in ANN's own open poll, which asked readers to select their top 5 anime series of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they fudged the numbers, too. The series' original light novels and manga adaptations also have a collective total of 6.2 million copies in print in Japan. At last year's Crunchyroll Expo, it was announced that the anime adaptation will be receiving a second and third season. Yup. Yeah, it was so fucking horrible. It got 2 new seasons. The series has also received 3 nominations for the annual Crunchyroll Anime Awards, with Raftalia being nominated for Best Girl, Kevin Perkin for Best Score, and Billy Kametz's performance as Naofumi for Best VA Performance in English. The YouTuber Hiro Hey commented on Steve Jones' review, saying part of what they look at in critiquing anime is how it relates to politics. This is the exact thing we are fighting against. Agreed 100%. We want your politics out of our entertainment. We do not want to be used. Fuck yes. That's what we're going to be doing with Blade Devil, too. No political statements. Just fan service and action. Plot, backstory, and a whole bunch of freaking ass whooping. That's what it is. Now, what do you think of Jones's review of Rising of the Shield Hero? Now, it wasn't a review as much as it was just a random toddler shrieking about something they don't like. I don't count that as a review. Have you seen the first season? Yup. What'd you think about it? It was pretty okay. It was good. I can understand why it got 2 more seasons. I can completely understand. So yes, yet again, we have another example of the fans and the critics being completely opposed to each other. And then the critics wonder why nobody gives a shit about their opinion anymore. In case some of you aren't aware yet, we actually have launched the Blade Devil merch shop. Link in the description box. So if you've ever wanted to support the channel but actually wanted something physical in return, we got the shop for you now. Lots of good stuff up in here. So if you would like any of those, or just in general want to support the channel, want to support original content, original products, like Diversity in Comics always used to say, then this is probably the best way to do it. So check it out. We're going to be adding new items on a monthly basis, at least in the near future. So check back often, and independent projects like the ones we're working on are only possible thanks to you guys. So appreciate all of your support.